You're with RT live from Moscow. Now, French military jets are already over Libya to enforce the UN-backed no-fly zone. Foreign powers meeting in Paris say they're ready to do whatever it takes to stop Colonel Gaddafi targeting civilian areas. Reports from Libya suggest forces loyal to Gaddafi are carrying out attacks on the rebel stronghold city of Benghazi, despite the so-called government ceasefire. Let's get some more details on this now from RT's Paula Slee, who is live for us in Tripoli. Paula, French planes now reportedly patrolling Libyan airspace. Is that what you're hearing where you are?
Yes, that is what we're hearing. On Saturday afternoon, French fighter jets flew over Libya. They're waiting, of course, for the international call to enforce this no-fly zone. And that latest word from that meeting in Paris is that they will be acting immediately. Now, it is less than 24 hours since the Libyan government said that it was enforcing an immediate ceasefire. But here on the ground, intense fighting continues, particularly in the rebel-held town of Benghazi. What we're hearing there are very different stories coming out from the rebel side as opposed to the government forces. The rebels insisting that they are being fired on by 3 fronts. They say that one of those fronts is the Mediterranean Sea. They say that there have been airstrikes, there is intense shelling, and that among the targets being hit are civilians. The rebels saying that many people have been injured and many more have been killed. Now, the rebels did capture a tank belonging to Gaddafi's troops. They've been parading this through the streets. There are still conflicting reports over a plane that was shot down there this morning, Saturday. Not yet clear exactly who it belonged to and who shot it down. The Gaddafi regime, for its side, is insisting that it is adhering to this ceasefire that it put into place on Friday afternoon. It says that it is the rebels that are on the offensive. It is them who are breaking the ceasefire, and it is them that are intensifying the fighting on the ground to try and mobilize the international community to act as quickly as possible. Now, state television here has also been reporting that the former Libyan interior minister, who earlier defected to the rebel side to command their fighters, has since returned. The state television is showing pictures of him being welcomed by Gaddafi and being reappointed in his earlier position, but we're not yet clear if in fact these pictures are recent or if they've been filmed from before. The rebels, of course, denying all those kind of reports. From Gaddafi himself, we are hearing harsh words. He said that the international community will regret if they interfere in Libyan affairs. He also said that this is an injustice, this is a clear aggression, and it is uncalculated risk for consequences. He is, of course, talking about the UN resolution 1973. At the same time, Gaddafi said that this resolution was invalid because the international community is not allowed to interfere in the internal affairs of sovereign states. We've also been hearing from Gaddafi's son, Saif al-Islam. He's also been talking on local state television. He has warned against infidel attacks. That's what he's been calling the uprising that is happening now in Benghazi. He also said that it is time for people to join in the fight. Now, it's not really clear what's happening in terms of the ceasefire. There are those that think that the government is insincere. There are those that think that this is the sign of a crumbling regime trying to save itself. But when we listen to what rebel leaders and particularly the opposition are saying, they say that essentially Gaddafi is lying and he is trying to buy time.
All right, Paula, so the latest news we have is that the French fighter jets are officially patrolling Libyan airspace. Tell me, Paula, what are the locals in Libya saying about this international intervention?
Well, when I talk to locals here, of course, those that support Gaddafi are completely against any kind of foreign intervention. But even amongst the rebels themselves, there is agreement that there are 2 areas in this resolution that are cause for concern. The one area is the terminology, all necessary measures, and the other area is when it talks about the need to defend people who are under attack or who might be under attack. Now, these are very broad definitions. They allow for a lot of intervention to take place, and that is why the concern here in Libya is that what might be the start of international intervention here in the sense of a no-fly zone could quickly develop into something that is much more long-term and far-reaching. The Libyans are very much against having foreign troops in their country, not least of all because this country was occupied by Italian troops in the past. They have seen the consequences of US troops in Iraq and in Afghanistan, in Iraq particularly, where there was a 12-year no-fly zone. People here do not want to see this no-fly zone extended and dragged out for that period of time. At the same time, we're hearing from the United Nations Human Rights. They said that they're very worried because they have no record of what is happening to rebel fighters who have been captured. They have no record of what is happening inside the prisons and inside the security services. They say that there can be some kind of collective punishment that is underway here at the moment. So essentially, the international community's call for the fighting to end on the ground is a question in terms of where it will end. One of the demands by the international community is also that Gaddafi needs to retreat. And people here are asking, well, what happens if he retreats? If he takes his soldiers out of certain towns, won't the rebels then move forward into those areas? And will that not only escalate the fighting on the ground?
All right, RT's Paula Slee there live in Tripoli with the latest on this breaking news.